Welcome to my late top summer anime of 2014, and my apologies for not including any sequels, so leave a like to help this video spread out so more people can check out these awesome shows this season. So without further ado, let's begin.
7.
Tokyo ESP has got great potential, but I feel the anime needs a lot more episodes to give exposure to the greatness that Tokyo ESP could fulfill, very much like Tokyo Ghoul in comparison, except with Tokyo ESP, I feel that it lacks that substance, flavor and mystery that Tokyo Ghoul had shown us within the span of 12 episodes. The characters for this show are quite interesting, but I'm still patiently waiting for that very moment that defines what makes Tokyo ESP different to all the rest of the Esper-like anime other than flying fish giving you powers.
6.
Barakamon is a very enjoyable slice of life comedy. The show's strengths lie within its unique vast characters that give the show some life and energy. However, once the comedy fades away, the show then throws some more interesting, heartwarming, motivational morals that we as an audience take through what our main character says she learns through his transition from the city life to the country life. Do check out Barakamon if you're a fan of a mellow-paced slice of life comedic anime.
5.
Aldnoah.Zero had hype echoing since the spring season, but does the show live up to the hype? Not really, in my opinion, but just because it doesn't live to the hype doesn't necessarily mean the show is bad, as the show juggles this meaning of what it's justice that's going on between this conflict between the Martians and Earthlings. The conflict itself just seems pretty petty to me, if you ask me, as I find myself detesting the Martians even more because the justification of why they are doing this seems nothing more than just a childish tantrum to have a higher social standing over the other race out of revenge and their superior technology. The one character that definitely deserves an award is Slain, because that guy has one of the highest self-tolerance I've seen from an anime character in a long time. As for the other characters, they are starting to intrigue me with how their backstories connect with other characters, and I can't help but feel adnoah.zero would have been more enticing had there been a prequel prior to this series, as there's a lot of reflection that goes on in this show, which would be more compelling and interesting if we knew the whole story of the war before what we have going in front of us. As an overall, the show offers you great action and some suspense to get you rolling on through with the episodes, with a glorious soundtrack to complement this series' elegance.
4.
Sankyo no Terror for me felt like a strong competitor for Best Thriller, as the episodes kept me on a much heavier suspense than what Tokyo Ghoul attempted to do. Sankyo no Terror was one of the few anime here that actually surprised me episode by episode, and it didn't turn out to be predictable whatsoever, given how the anime could have easily taken the route and simply had our main duo, Sphinx, bomb Tokyo to the very end and then reveal their intentions right at the last episode. Instead, we have another enemy coming into the middle of things, making matters much worse than we had anticipated from the start from what Sphinx set out to accomplish. My only real issue with this show is Lisa's purpose as a character. She feels more like a damsel in distress for the sake of causing more obstacles and unnecessary worries for Sphinx, hence why Sankyo no Terror doesn't exceed any higher for me, unless the bitch dies.
3.
Tokyo Ghoul has that dark, gritty-like atmospheric tone set throughout the entirety of the series. The pacing for the anime is nothing less than what I had anticipated from the get-go. For me personally, what kept Tokyo Ghoul from being higher than it is on this list are the characters. Don't get me wrong, the characters aren't shit per se, but they are not as engaging as the other anime that are on this list. But hey, I can imagine if the anime had a lot more episodes, which it should do, I would grow to love these characters as development isn't as strong as I would have wanted it to be, given the limitations of a 12-episodic series. The story of Tokyo Ghoul follows this blind discriminative hate there are for these ghouls that feast on humans, and calls into question the morality on who's right or wrong, the humans or the ghouls. So far, the enemy in this show is intriguing, especially that little development we got with that tool guy and the weapons they have were extraordinarily alarming. Definitely do not pass up Tokyo Ghoul, especially if you like your thriller, horror, action, gore.
2.
Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun is definitely highly up there as one of the funniest and enjoyable high school rom-coms, although I don't really see as much of an essence on the romance, as for first, the comedy takes a priority over that. With this anime being a character-driven show, the story is pretty bleak, as the story follows this cliche of a high school girl struggling to convey her true feelings towards her crush, whilst the guy she has fallen for has no clue whatsoever, regardless of how drawn out the story will become. But does this really matter for a show like this, when we have nothing but great characters? Well, that's where I'm on the fence. As great as the jokes are, the mangaka has to fulfill a high standard he has set for himself, and I can only imagine that the show's lifeline should be cut short so that the comedy can still stand tall and remain consistent instead of declining gradually for years on years. To sum up, just watch this 12 episodic short series if you are looking for a good fun laugh. As for a romance story, best you look somewhere else for something more serious.
1.
Akame is a breath of fresh air for the action genre and a real game changer at that. The show itself is quite episodic and doesn't feel slow in the slightest from what I've seen so far. The characters are very easy to get attached to within the short time span we're introduced, as the development for each individual makes this show as a whole more likeable. Battles themselves are quite the breath taker, as Akame's nature doesn't like to leave a battle half-baked nor interrupted. Instead, once the battle starts, there's neither retreat nor re-strategizing. It's a simple matter of who walks away victorious. What I adore more is how the story keeps pushing forward and doesn't allow our characters to sit still on their hands. Overall, Akame is the anime to keep an eye out for this season if you are looking for an anime that likes to keep it simple with its consistent pace of always moving forward whilst building over that overarching story in the background. So that's my top list. So what are your top 5 anime for this summer season? Also, feel free to ask away about my thoughts on the sequels this season like Sword Art Online 2 through Twitter or Hummingbird, and please like or subscribe to keep up with more of my future videos. Later peeps.